Welcome back to another DEAP podcast. I'm D.
I'm Pod.
And I'm Cast.
And today we're going to be talking about MLMs, multi-level marketing, or frequently associated with Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, and that we're going to be discussing the various facets of that. So let's first of all define what multi-level marketing is. What's an MLM?
So it is a form of a direct sales company where individual distributors are selling a product. It is set up as a person is selling those items, or they can get some money for recruiting new people. They are very similar to pyramid schemes, and I realize that that is a contentious topic. However, the difference between the two, and this is very, again, controversial, and they'll be the first ones to tell you this, is that a pyramid scheme, you are selling a product at a very high markup or no product at all, versus an MLM, you are selling a product at a reasonable value that you would find a similar product in a more conventional store.
Okay, so for a pyramid scheme, basically, you are a member of a group, and in some cases where there's no product, you can go around recruiting people. They pay membership fees, and you earn a portion of their membership fees. The group earns the rest of the membership fees, and when they recruit other people, they get a portion of those that they recruit, and then you get a portion of the money that they also get. So money constantly flows up towards the top, and whoever's at the top has the most flowing into them, and the structure forms a pyramid, which is why it's called a pyramid scheme, because the person that started it gets the biggest benefit.
And MLMs are very similar to that, but again, there are products being sold involved, and so people in your what they call upline will make money off of your sales, and people in their upline will make money off of your sales, and it goes up the pyramid like structure. So we'll call it a triangle.
And it's still, it's
an inverse funnel scheme.
Yeah.
And I like that, an inverse funnel scheme. But the one difference, or at least the argument from MLMs, is that they have a product that they're selling, and so you pay membership dues for being able to sell the product, and then you also sell product.
Well, it's not so much membership dues. Most of the time, to be considered active, you have to have bought or sold a certain amount of product in a certain amount of time.
And so you have to buy the product yourself, and then you also have to sell the product that you purchase.
Yep. So it's entirely up to the individual person whether or not they're going to sell all the product that they purchased to sell. And so they're putting themselves at risk, whereas the people above them are not really at the same risk. Because they already have the money in their hands from you buying the product to resell it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very common as well for companies to not buy back the products that were distributed out.
Or buy back at a reduction that still makes them money.
So if I get involved in this, I don't really know what's going on. I'm trying my hand at sales, but I'm not very good at it. But I purchased a bunch of whatever the product is from people higher up, and I try to sell it back. In some cases I can't, or I can sell it back at a severely reduced rate, meaning that I've lost money and kind of stopped that rung of the ladder.
So thinking about a standard company structure where you have people, a very simple structure, where you have people at the bottom doing the work. They're reporting to a manager who's reporting to a manager who's reporting to a manager who's reporting to the CEO.
Sure.
However that works out. So what are the pros and cons of, and what is different about that from an MLM, and where are the benefits, where are the losses?
And let's make it a specific example. Let's say, what sets McDonald's apart from an MLM? Because McDonald's, you can basically, if you want to run a McDonald's, you can contact McDonald's headquarters and say, I would like to open up a franchise, and you're basically licensing the ability to sell McDonald's merchandise, set up a store, and you have employees that are actually selling the product. You have a manager who's earning money from all of the income from that store, and then he has to pay membership dues to the probably local corporate, and then that local corporate combines their money with the countrywide and eventually worldwide corporate, and so then they combine their money until the person way at the top, the CEO, probably gets a very, very large amount of money. So that sounds very much like a pyramid scheme, especially because the people running the franchise pay money and pay franchise dues to be able to sell that material.
And it's a large investment to open a franchise to begin with. So they might spend a couple $100,000 to get the franchise running in hopes that it will then make them enough money to pay to outset that and then make money eventually.
They're taking a risk, joining the bottom of a stack, and it is a triangular or pyramidal shaped stack. So why is there a lot of negativity around MLMs when it sounds so much similar to things like McDonald's or any large franchise out there?
I mean, I think the biggest piece of that is that the lowest rung in that McDonald's equation that you were setting up are going to be your everyday workers who are not having to pay in to work at McDonald's. They are going there and receiving a paycheck for the amount of work that they are doing. They're being paid hourly.
If I'm a fry cook, I have a guaranteed paycheck.
Right. Yes. That if you can get the hours, you have a guaranteed paycheck, and you can sue that franchise owner if you do not receive that paycheck.
Yeah. Whereas if you purchase products as part of the bottom rung of the MLM and then you go try to sell it for an hour and you don't sell any, you've made zero money. In fact, you've effectively lost money.
So it sounds like similar to running your own business. If I make a product, if I crochet things and I create little crochet creatures and no one wants to buy them, I don't have a guaranteed paycheck, but no one wanted to buy it, so there's really no one to blame. I have to eat the cost of the materials and the time that I spent making them. Similarly, in an MLM, if I can't sell anything, then I don't make any money. Or if I can't recruit, I don't make any money. As opposed to the bottom rung of franchises, they have guaranteed pay. And even frequently, managers will have some sort of guaranteed pay depending on what their relationship is with corporate.
Yeah, well, usually there's the manager, and then above them is the franchise owner. I think another big distinction here is that MLMs like to pretend that every one of their independent distributors is themselves a small business owner.
Why is that?
Because that way they can say, like, "Oh, join my team. I'm a small business owner. I work only for myself," even when it's like, no, you work for the, however many rungs up this ladder you go.
How is that different than a franchise owner, though?
I think part of it is the amount of work that goes into setting it up in the first place versus the market saturation in that area. So let's say you're working for Lularoe, which is
an MLM
leggings company that they're buying. I think they recently started with a $500 package, but for the longest time, to buy into Lularoe, you needed to spend $5,000 on a bunch of leggings. And they would say, just put it on a credit card. You don't need to have any investments. You don't need to be at all financially stable. Just find $5,000 somewhere and you can own your own small business. That's very different than a franchise owner who you're buying the name and the rights of McDonald's, but you're also getting support from corporate to help you get started.
Because they do have incentive to make sure that the franchise is successful and that they aren't represented by someone reprehensible.
Yeah, so there's a lot more vetting. There's corporate is not going to franchise out to someone that literally put their entire business on a credit card, which is what MLMs will encourage people to do. And
with MLMs, because people make money directly from everyone underneath them, even if they fail, so if they spend $5,000 on merchandise, a portion of that goes to you. So even if they end up failing and going into debt, you still own some of that debt. So it's beneficial for people on higher layers of the pyramid to get new people to buy in, even if they can't afford it. Whereas with something like McDonald's, if people see a McDonald's pop up and then die, that tarnishes the name because, well, why are we seeing all these McDonald's closing?
Yeah, you also see with MLMs that you do get a kickback for inviting other people to join your team below you and be themselves quote-unquote business owners. So you're encouraged to essentially create your own competition by being like, hey, join my team and also sell to your friends and family. And if you're a part of my friends and family, we're going to be selling to the same people.
Right.
Whereas McDonald's, corporate's not going to be very happy about there being 2 McDonald's on the same street unless they know that, like, oh, this store 1 was very busy.
We need
so
another
we
one.
we can allow
Yeah.
there to be a store 2 also on the street.
There's a lot of thinking that goes into how they place and how they allow the franchises to come up. I mean, if you look in New York, there in many cases it's like a McDonald's on one side of the street, and then the opposite side of the street there's another McDonald's, and it's like, well, because it's quite a bit of effort to cross that street, people will use both of them, and they will both be fairly busy. And I think one of the big things that we're talking about here is the risk of the larger company in each situation. If in a McDonald's situation, if all of the stores start to fail, then the higher ups are actually going to be losing money. Whereas in a multi-level marketing scheme, if everyone below them fails, they've already received income from those people buying their product or whatever to resell it. They are not at risk of losing money. I mean, the company might go under, but the people at the top made a shit ton and have had no risk of losing that.
Yeah, like if a particular franchise starts having problems, corporate can make the decision to shut them down or be like, hey, you can buy out the building from us and turn it into something else if you would like, but
Yeah.
oftentimes corporate owns the buildings. Not always.
So it sounds like one of the major differences that we're defining is that in an MLM, there's really no reason for a corporate to help out the lowest levels or whoever is higher up on the pyramid. There's not really a reason to help out people down below, because if you're making money, great. If you're not making money, well, you
already paid in.
Well, you've already paid in, number one. Number two, if you're not making money, it's because you are directly responsible. Since you're the business owner, you're obviously just not fit to do this, so stop. And I already have your money, so I don't really care if you're bad at making additional money. We'd obviously like people to be good at making money, because then we can make money. Basically, I'm saying people higher up in the pyramid can still make money off of people below them only if they're making money. But that initial buy-in is probably going to be the majority that they're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other piece is, again, we're still talking McDonald's business owners as being kind of the lowest rung. People in MLMs, statistically speaking, do not make back even their initial investment. That it's some crazy percent, and it depends on the MLM, of like oftentimes 80% or more don't even make that initial investment back, because, you know, if you're, let's say Lularoe, because again they have just egregious buy-in packages. You spend $5,000 buying in, and also you have to spend a bunch of money on mannequins and lighting setup and fancy cameras, because, you know, you have to sell this online. You have to make the patterns look good. Oh no, 12 of your leggings came in and were ripped. Lularoe is not going to buy them back from you unless you have enough to justify shipping costs.
And I believe with Lularoe, if they send you faulty product that is either damaged or torn or whatever it is, they will not buy it back from you except in certain amounts, in certain quantities. So you would have to keep buying additional material until you get past a certain threshold of having broken material for them to pay to take it back.
Yeah. And then compare that to, say, your McDonald's example of, I don't know what the percentages are, but it's clearly a lot more financially guaranteed that you will make back at least some of your initial money.
Part of that is that as the franchise owner, you actually have a lot of business decisions to make as that owner. And
you have a lot more control over what's happening to your company, because it's yours and it's your area.
And you're the owner. You are basically just renting an image, but you're doing all the other work. You rent an image and you rent their menu, and then you use their suppliers, but you are doing all the work in terms of selling them, hiring, getting people in, interviewing,
advertisement.
That sounds exactly what you described for MLMs.
Except there is...
that all of the work is on the person that's buying in.
So it's all of the work, but it's all of the work with none of the knowledge necessary to actually succeed in business.
And no risk in an MLM for the higher-ups.
Yeah. So if you're like a McDonald's franchise owner, it would really behoove you to have some kind of restaurant experience or to have some kind of business degree or to have tried something else before going into that.
It would behoove you to have that going into an MLM.
Yeah, but
they
they
don't look
often
for it.
will recruit people that are still in college or have just graduated high school or are stay-at-home moms.
Particularly because the people that are doing the recruiting are also the people that are doing the selling.
Mhm.
So if I'm selling and and I'm not doing well at selling, well, I can just sell the idea of selling to someone, and MLMs frequently encourage members to get more members and sell to your family and friends and get them to also get the buy-in package and start selling themselves. So it is encouraging people, or it encourages people who don't know much about business to get other people who also don't know about business to buy in.
And it pays no attention to market saturation. In fact, they expect that the market will become saturated, and the MLM owners do not care. Because market saturation means that so many people bought in that they can't even sell all of their product, but that doesn't matter because it's already been bought from the MLM owner.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking at just straight numbers, if you start one of these companies and you recruit 5 people and they each recruit 5 people, it's 19 levels of that, and you have the entire population of the planet.
And that's frequently one of the arguments that has been made. I have been sat down by one person who was involved in one of these schemes, and they described it exactly like that. Look, if I can recruit 3 people, or if you can recruit 3 people, and each of those recruits 3 people, and each of those recruits 3 people, you've got 27 basically employees under you. All of the a portion of their earnings all goes to you. And that sounds good to people who aren't good at math, but for people who have a basic understanding of math, okay, there are 27 people. Where are those 27 people going to be? Also, if everyone becomes involved in this, no one is going to buy the product because everyone has the product.
Yeah, it's an understanding of an unlimited versus a limited set. There are only so many people
and also
out
just
there.
locally limited.
Yeah.
Even if you had an infinite number of people, you would have to be able to gain access to those people.
Yeah, because if you are encouraged to get your family and friends involved, which is usually what this is, you only have so many people in your friends and family groups. And then you start seeing, stay-at-home moms are particularly affected, and military wives are a very large subset of that, because people don't want to hire military wives because their husbands may be moving at any time. So
they want something that they can do from home. They can maybe make them some money on the side. And this is an easy way to, I can just quickly buy in. I don't necessarily need to have a separate location of business. I can use my home or my garage as a point of business. And that does seem like a good way to get started, that it gives people a product to be able to sell out of their garage or out of their home without much experience. So couldn't this be good as a way of getting people to learn the ropes of how to make a business without the necessity to spend a bunch of money on an entire franchise?
If the MLM actually put investment into the people and taught them how to do those things, maybe. But they don't. They don't care. They don't want to invest any of their resources into people selling their products, because that means they make less money, and
if the people under them continue to be able to sell the product and recruit
but they know
people,
that's not going to be able to happen. They have an understanding of math.
They understand that they only need to keep the top 1% of their company happy. And those are the people that they get to write the nice testimonials about how I made $100,000 last year selling leggings part-time, and look at me with my 5 kids, and aren't they so cute in their little leggings? I totally only work part-time. 80 hours a week is part-time, right? That's what part-time looks like.
Yeah, and I guess one other distinction between an MLM and a franchise owner. If you are a franchise owner, you can't then sell further franchises and get other people to open franchises beneath you.
That's fair. You can license the ability to sell under the franchise name, but then you don't get any licensing fees even if you convince a friend to also, if you own a McDonald's and you convince a friend to open up a McDonald's, you're not getting license fees from him.
Yeah, you're not getting any part of their sales. You might, I mean, I don't know how McDonald's is set up. They might have you referred this person.
Yeah, there might be a referral program, but it's like a one-time good job.
Sure. It's much more difficult to be able to benefit from referring people, which discourages people from setting up new businesses, which in some regard is a negative, because that means that you're going to have fewer owners that are contributing to the business. And in some regards, that's a positive, because you're only getting people that actually care and think that they know enough to be able to be successful. So it's bad. It's bad because it limits your field, but it's good because it limits the field.
Let's pretend that McDonald's did encourage heavily for franchise owners to find additional franchise owners. It's like, hey, go talk to your friends, your siblings, your parents, whatever. Have them open a franchise too. Like, they could make as much money as you, and you're
then everyone would own a McDonald's, and you would be directly competing against them.
Exactly, and that is where McDonald's actually will step in and be like, no, you can't open a franchise in this town of 1,500 people because there already is one. We're smart enough to say that's not going to make anyone money. And so they would block it. Multi-level marketing, like, okay, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, you have money. We like money.
Yeah.
You want to buy the starter package 20 times? Go for it. We still love money.
So it sounds like we've been ripping a lot on MLMs quite a bit right now. At what level does an MLM become, I'm going to put in quotes, bad?
I think one good example is selling a false product, because the only difference between an MLM and a pyramid scheme is that you have a product to sell,
and you're selling it at an appropriate cost for the market.
Sure. Lularoe, I believe you've mentioned a couple of times, sells leggings, very expensive leggings, which are, to my understanding, okay.
It depends. Sometimes they are okay, as far as I've been told. They're very soft. They have a lot of patterns. The patterns can, however, be very ugly, and depending on the particular shipment, the leggings can easily rip.
Okay, so maybe...
Again, it's a toss-up.
What about Avon? They are, at least to my knowledge, they're known to have pretty good makeup, and they act as an MLM in a lot of cases. They also sell directly to retailers, so they're not entirely MLM based, but
I believe Lularoe does the same thing.
Yeah.
No, Lularoe is entirely direct sales.
Okay.
But Avon is an example where they use both standard retailers, and they have people buy pink PT Cruisers and drive around and have conventions and whatnot talking about selling products. And
they have a good product to sell?
I believe they have a good product. I don't have much experience with them personally, but if they have a good product, then, I mean, are they still bad for being multi-level marketing, even if they're selling a good product at a semi-reasonable price?
I would argue that the entire setup of a multi-level marketing setup itself is predatory. That itself makes the product.
Let's go worse. To one end of the spectrum of, I would say that the bare minimum, or maybe even how some of these MLMs start. I am someone that loves to crochet, and I just start making all of these little crochet animals, and someone comes over and they're like, "Oh my God, these are so cute. Can I like buy them from you?" And I'm just like, "Sure." And they're like, "Man, I think other people are going to really like these. Like, you should sell these." And I'm like, "Well, I'm too busy just making them. I like to make them. I don't know." And so he's like, "Well," the person's just like, "I will buy 100 of them from you, and then I will resell those, and that way you can keep buying the yarn to make them." And it goes from there. Is that with just one person beneath me, or maybe two people, because they talk their sister into helping too?
I mean, in that setup, what you're describing is more of an employer-employee setup, they're doing some resale, but it's not you're recruiting these people below you to recruit people below you.
But then it could easily become that. As whoever's buying this product from me is like, I need more, and so I was like, and so they keep funneling money up I keep making more and I became really efficient at it.
And you might outsource some of it to
Right.
just continue producing the product, because we're not really talking about the supply chain. It sounds like more of what makes an MLM is the distribution chain. So I don't think it's a matter of supply of how much can I crochet. It's a matter of how is that distributed.
Yeah.
And having one person say, I will buy 100 from you if you let me sell them.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a portion of the sales. Or, well, I guess you've made money from me
But then,
buying them from
That,
you.
I mean,
that
that
person,
sounds like just a regular resale.
but if someone,
That's a regular resale.
Yeah.
I think where it becomes a multi-level marketing is if that person pays $100 to buy a bunch of little crochet creatures from you, and then they go around to someone else and say, hey, I have crochet creatures. I want you to help me sell them. Buy 50 off of me, and then go sell them.
right.
And I
and
think
now you are part of a official company that is
Well,
like,
is it a company? I mean,
it pretends
it is,
to be one.
It is pretending to be one, but the guy at the top, I just sold 100 little knit creatures, and then the next guy down
Yeah, but
sold
in-
50 of those to 2 different people, and they
in your, I mean, even in your example, like, you're not really the top of the MLM. It's the person below you
Yeah.
that's the one being the top of the MLM.
so. It's not
you're
necessarily
being the little people in third world countries that just happen to be sewing a whole bunch of really weird leggings.
so it's not necessarily the person that's producing the product. It is the top of the distribution chain.
yeah.
And when you start encouraging people below you to get additional people below them to sell instead of selling themselves, that's where it starts to become an MLM.
Okay.
That as soon as you hire someone to sell your product and you require buy-in of the product itself,
And
in order to be able to sell, and you're encouraging them, it only takes 2 layers. If I own a product, I hire someone and say, you should go find me additional salespeople and sell the product, and you have to buy that product from me in order to sell it. That's
you make money off of your recruitment.
yeah. That is a 2-level pyramid scheme
Okay.
with a product.
I think that's a fair point. Needing to distinguish the supplies chain versus the distribution chain, because I mean, in some cases, the top of the distribution chain also owns the supply chain, but that doesn't have to be the case.
Sure, like in the crochet example.
Yeah, I mean, in the crochet example, there's even a supply chain of the yarn.
Sure.
And what's going on there? Maybe that's an MLM too. Who knows?
So, oh man, pyramids of pyramids.
I mean,
What about the product itself? Does it matter if the product is crap?
I mean, arguably, it probably will not take off if the product is truly and obviously crap. Now, if it can be disguised as something good, at least initially, to get people excited about it, and like, of course I want this, of course I'd resell this, but you find that this thing that is promised to last 7 years actually only lasts 6 months. You might already be pulled in and already have put a significant investment into it. Now, if the product just sucks and people are like, why would I want to sell this? This thing just sucks. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, usually what you see with MLM products is that they like to create, I don't want to use the word cult following, but I'm going to use the words cult following around that product. So, for instance, with Lularoe, again, I just know a lot about Lularoe.
Do you sell it?
I do not. I don't know anyone personally who sells it. It's just an easy example to use. And
Sure.
I've seen the Vice documentary. Everyone should go watch that. The head of Lularoe is a big fan of telling the distributors and everyone under her that, like, oh, if you're going to be pictured in social media, you should be wearing Lularoe. All the time, you should be wearing Lularoe.
Meaning that you're always completely engulfed in the thing that you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not just enough to wear, like, a shirt. It's like, no, you have to wear a shirt and leggings. And if you want a jacket, you got to wear the jacket.
And you have to put this decal on your car.
Yeah.
And you
Which
have to do
also
all this.
means that you're paying the company that makes that even more to be able to constantly wear it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
like,
so it's not just you should sell our product. You should be our product. You should live our product.
So it's really another, I guess, component of what makes an MLM is the product stops being the focus and the people become the product.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that makes you money is not the product itself, but the people you have under you.
Yeah, because you need to sell the lifestyle, because you need to be able to convince other people that what you're doing is good.
In order for McDonald's to make a bunch of money off of a franchise
They need
owner,
the franchise to make money.
they need the franchise to be able to successfully make money, which means, hey, we actually need to send you quality product and food that tastes good to people.
And the lettuce isn't rotten. Like,
Yeah.
we need to make sure.
And
That you're
that also
stocked.
gives them incentive of, hey, you know, these facilities here, you aren't doing very good upkeep with them. You need to improve that. And so they at least have some enforcement there, because they don't make money if you don't make money.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing that really sets it apart is if you need to use bad math to sell someone, or to convince someone to sell something underneath you, that just right there is a form of lying. You are lying to them. If you aren't giving them the whole truth, that yes, there are a limited set of people in the world, there are a limited set of people in this city, and if you get 3 people and they get 3 people each, suddenly
It's technically valid math, but it's manipulative math.
it's not the whole truth.
It's valid for the first few rungs, and it very quickly, exponential growth happens, and if everyone actually succeeds in the way that they like to pretend that anyone can do it, it falls apart very quickly.
Yep.
And as you approach saturation, it ends up following basically logarithmic curves or population curves, where you'll hit a certain maximum, and then there will be a downturn in the market, and then with the downturn in the market, it may pick up a little bit and just kind of oscillate back and forth.
And then, but the thing is that the profits in that oscillation to the upper rung never disappear. They never lose money. So that is what it is. They're
And
like,
another component of it is if people in the lower rungs of multi-level marketing schemes, is that if they all go out of business and they all lose all of their money, that they paid in a bunch of money and all of them go bankrupt, the people at the top do not.
The people at the top don't. The people in the middle can have some kinds of.
they might break
That-
even or make a little bit, but
So the problem a lot of times with the way they're set up is that your ranking in the company, which can decide your bonus, depends on how many people are below you and how many like grandchildren you have below that. So you are encouraged to sign people up, even if they're not an active member. Be like, hey, you want to buy leggings? Well, how about you just buy the starter package so that I can say that you're below me, so that I can get a better raise like a better bonus.
So the company gets someone buys a $500 starter package. The person above them, as a result, gets a $50 bonus, and the company that made them the company that effectively bought said product for $50 has now made $400 off of the person wanting a $50 bonus. And so the upper rungs are constantly making money now. In that oscillation, they might be making $5,000 a day at peak, and then at Valley they're making $2,000 a day. And it's like, well, they're still making $2,000 a day. Like, there's no money. Like, they're not losing money ever. They could other than them, taking that money and going to do stupid things with it.
Yeah. So I kind of want to simplify the problem that we're tackling, because it sounds like we've set up a fairly good definition of the difference between MLM and franchises, which franchises tend to be the closest thing to an MLM in terms of legitimate business. But MLMs frequently have to protect themselves in court from being called pyramid schemes. Pyramid schemes being no product to sell. So basically,
Or a very much overpriced.
Deceptive
hey,
product.
here's a placebo pill, and we're going to charge you $1,000 per pill for it.
Or here's leggings, and we're going to charge you $1,000 for a pair of leggings.
I mean, we touched on it at the beginning.
Where you don't expect the product to be sold.
Right. And what we touched on in the beginning is that you can go to a pharmacy or a makeup store and buy some lipstick for $20, or you can buy the same lipstick similar lipstick from Avon for $20 from one of their salespeople. Now,
they're often upcharged a little bit, and they like to hide under, it's premium.
Yeah.
It's more expensive because it's better.
It's
but
close enough that
it's on the
to a
same level.
court, they are effectively the same order of magnitude, that you can't say, oh, just because you're selling this for $25 versus the store that's selling it for 20, you are a pyramid scheme.
If it's a comparable product that you're selling for drastically more than other similar products, that you're basically saying it's not intended to be sold. Yeah. So let's simplify it. Let's say you don't have a product at all to be sold. I say, hey, Cast, I have a group that it's cool. I like to be in this group, and I want you to be in the group. Pay me $5 and you can be in the group. And if you recruit other people, you can get them to pay you a $5 membership fee, and then they can be in this super secret group as well. And whoever wants to be in the group, they have to pay money, and the people at the top that started the group and helped put in the effort to build the group, they make some of the money from people below them. What's wrong about that?
There's money basically being given away, and you are preying on the people at the bottom of that pyramid, where if I then get 6 people to join, and as a result I get $1 from each of them, and the other $4 work their way up the pyramid. The people at the bottom have all lost money, whereas I have made $6.
But they've gained a membership
to something useless.
Yeah, they have lost money, and they have no recourse to regain that money.
Yep. And
that's the reason why it's okay, or it's considered okay, if it is a sellable product that you could make back your money on by selling.
And they get nothing in return.
But again, if I have a group that I want to be exclusive only to people who are willing to pay, isn't it up to those people to decide what they want to pay for? I mean, it's a group. There are group memberships for all types of clubs and just gatherings of people, that like Comic-Con, you have to pay to get into Comic-Con.
But
I realize getting something out of it.
Scam.
No,
it's a predatory scheme. Whereas Comic-Con, people pay money to get in.
There's a reason to go there. If I have a group that I just feel like talking about philosophical topics with other people, and I want to make sure that they have an actual desire to do the same thing as well, and I say, I want you to pay in, and other people I encourage you to get other people to join our group, but only if they pay in. And to encourage you to do that, people that recruit other people, you get some benefit from that to encourage the group to grow. If I want the group to grow, why is that an inherently bad way to do it?
Why, if you want the group to grow, why are you charging people money in the first place?
Because I only want people to join if they actually have the willingness to spend a couple of bucks to join the group. I want to make sure that it discourages people who have no interest, and encourages people that, hey, if you have enough interest, you will only be associated with people who also have a certain minimum level of interest. And that minimum level of interest is $5 for the membership fees. And I just happen to make it that to encourage other people to seek out other individuals who may also be interested, to encourage them to do that recruiting, I say you can make money off of them. And the people who you recruit that are good at recruiting, you will also benefit from that. It encourages people to find others who are also interested in the group and are good at finding more people to bring into the group. It's good for growing groups of people. And I mean, you can call it a cult if you want, but what is inherently wrong with expanding the size of your group and profiting off of the expansion?
You are taking advantage of people that wouldn't know any better. You are actively causing them harm by selling it as an idea of like, oh, join this group and pay this money, and then if you get other people to join this group, then you can make money. Eventually, enough generations away, and you've just stolen $5.
It's the idea of joining my group so that you can make money versus joining my group. Oh, and if you get other people involved, I'll give you $1 or whatever of their membership fee.
Okay, so if I am doing it because I legitimately want the group to grow, I'm not doing it to be manipulative. I'm just doing it like the $5 is, again, as I want there to be a barrier of entry, and that's a monetary barrier of entry. I'm not doing it to get rich. If my motives are good, does that change?
No, it is because you were setting up the same example of like, oh, if you recruit somebody, then you get some of their money, and then if you recruit someone else, and then you get some of their recruitments, and that goes up the chain.
No,
The other thing is though that if we're in this club and you recruit me, and then I recruit Pod, I may make $1 off that. But if Pod's in the group, so if Pod then goes and recruits someone, I don't make any money off of that in this example. This isn't a pyramid scheme because...
No, I'm saying set it up like a pyramid scheme that you would also benefit from that, which encourages you to find people who are also good at recruiting. Mm-hmm. And that grows the size of your group. If the goal is to just get a large group of people that have all bought into the same thing, why is a pyramid scheme seems like a very good way of doing that.
To get a large number of people to be suckers.
And then you would still have a very large group of people at the bottom that have paid in money and they're getting absolutely no benefit out of it. Now, if you were setting up a different type of example of pay in $5 and that will help offset the cost of snacks when we get together and have our discussions, that's different.
That may be different, but that would also... Basically, the problem is that you have people up each rung of the ladder that are profiting from it and not just buying materials and snacks.
And you have people profiting off of the work being done multiple generations of recruitment away from them.
So your argument seems to be that because some people are stupid and they'll buy things or buy into things that they don't know enough about, that the people that started that group should be punished for it.
And I think it's also in order of the message. If I say you should join this group, also, like if you then refer someone, you could make some money. But if I say you could make some money, all you have to do is join this group and pay me $5. That is a very different tactic. It's like leading with make money, and it's the making money portion that's more important than being a part of this group portion.
So it sounds like the crux of the argument is because a pyramid scheme is so incredibly easy to prey on stupid people or I think ignorant and unknowledgeable people is the better term. Ignorant of not knowing what they're getting into, because it's too easy to be predatory on ignorant individuals, that the scheme itself should not be used in any sort of marketing or group growing.
It is unethical to be taking advantage of people that do not know better. And oftentimes when you're talking about those types of pyramid schemes, you're not talking about $5. You're talking about $5,000. You're talking about someone's life savings that you're just screwing them out of their everything that they have. And then, oops, it's a pyramid scheme. That money's already been spent, and I guess you just never get to make the money back.
Yeah.
But again, it is technically their choice in doing that matter.
Yeah.
But now, if you directly lie to them and say, if you give me $5,000, then you will make 20 times that back without any work.
But that's how that gets...
That is false advertising, and those individuals should be prosecuted for lying about a business agreement.
If you effectively say you will make 20 times, but then you put a little asterisk, or you could make 20 times your initial investment. Which
is a technically true statement.
Technically true, but it is a predatory statement. And that is where it is a very predatory tactic on people that don't know any better. And a pyramid scheme multi-level marketing / a pyramid scheme, they would fall apart very quickly if people knew better. It's like you preying on the ignorant is just a bad thing to do.
Yeah, but again, getting back to your example, preying on them to get $5. Well, the setup is bad. Is like, okay, well, they're only out $5, but
if they're out $5,000,
it's never only $5 because you would be shut down for that little $5 scheme before you made any real money.
Sure.
So it's a go big or go home, and hope that you can escape to the Cayman Islands before the government catches you.
If I want to start a group and use a pyramid scheme, and the buy-in is actually only $5, is that okay? Even if it ends up being that people are being manipulative in the type of math that they use and the numbers that they use, they still give an asterisk, so they're technically correct, the best kind of correct, and they're giving you information and saying you could, technically speaking, make back a bunch of money depending on how well you do, even if you don't expect them to be able to do that.
It's still bad.
It's
It's
still
misleading.
Not
it's misleading.
It's still not okay.
Because those
But
manipulative
the
tactics.
damages are not as bad as those they could be.
But even if the damages aren't that bad, it's the ethical damages of you are using misleading marketing techniques to earn money, regardless of the person's ability to pay. You are using misleading marketing techniques.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're charging people money for the opportunity to make money off of swindling other people.
Yeah.
And it sounds like if that's the core problem is misleading marketing, the problem with MLMs and pyramid schemes is not necessarily what they do, but the fact that their inherent structure causes them to be much more likely and to use, and it encourages misleading marketing.
Yes.
Right.
And you also see that even not just the recruitment side of MLMs, but also the types of claims that those companies can make. Individual distributors are not as beholden to the FDA when you're talking about, say, like essential oils companies.
So like Doterra.
Like, yeah, such as Doterra, where like they can get in trouble for the FDA, but Doterra itself can't get in trouble for things that individual consultants will say about those
So
things.
Exactly.
As an example, to continue with Doterra, they sell things like essential oils, saying this can help you cure cancer.
Well,
but
individual consultants will say that.
Yeah, so-
Doterra will say this can help
with your health.
Make you feel better. We're not going to tell you how you feel better. You'll just feel better.
I am a supplier where all I do is sell 5-gallon buckets of fish oil, and then someone buys that, puts them in single-use droplets, and sells the let's say $1,000 worth of fish oil in 20,000 different single-use droplets for $5 a piece. I didn't make any claims, but they could make then claims saying, "Oh, fish oil, it's good for your heart." I mean, in some cases, it actually is. But they can start making misleading claims.
But if that individual starts saying, "Hey, I'm selling Doterra stuff, it will cure your cancer," and they make that claim,
the individual consultant can get in trouble with the FDA.
But the people on the upper...
But the people on the upper end will not.
Yeah.
The other thing is that oftentimes they are encouraged to make their claims in person in front of their friends and family who are not going to route them out to the FDA.
Yeah. And so it's never on any actual marketing, or if it is marketing that the person that is at the bottom is making themselves.
Well,
So like they put it in a Facebook post. They're like, "Yeah, this can cure cancer," and then the people above them are like, "I'm just going to be quiet because I may have."
They are told to not say anything about medical diagnoses, but they will talk about functions of the body.
Yeah.
So they can't say this thing will cure your insomnia, but they can say that this will help with sleep.
Yeah.
Because sleep is a function of the body and insomnia is a diagnosis.
Yeah.
And they can't say this will cure cancer, but they can say it can help you fight cancer.
Yeah. And
it can boost your immune system, which may help with fighting cancer.
Which may help. That word may, but that in itself can be misleading, because if people interpret that as may help means that there is evidence that it does help, even if there is no evidence whatsoever, the claim can still be made. So that I think falls back under the misleading marketing.
Right. And so there hasn't been a study that shows that eating Honey Nut Cheerios makes your blood pressure any worse. And so it may make it better. I mean, I don't know if there was ever a study for those claims that they made.
For their claims, oats have been shown to help with heart health.
Okay.
And since it's made of oats,
it contains oats, therefore it must be good for your heart.
And all sorts of sugar and other things,
Sure.
And the other thing is, if you are an executive of one of these companies and you're like, "Hey everyone, sell our product. By the way, here's just a couple of like articles that have misleading titles that would then make you as the ignorant seller make claims that aren't actually true, or aren't would get us as a larger company in trouble with the FDA, but the FDA can't go out and find every single individual person here. It's like, I never told him it could cure cancer. I just happened to, like, as I walked by, drop some research papers that said,
Well, you can send it to
this-
them, but you have to send it to them separate from selling the product.
And also, it because of that separation that the individual selling, since they are in a way their own business owner because they've bought into the product and are selling the product. If they say so again with the Doterra example, this can help you fight cancer, this may help cure cancer, and Doterra itself can then say, well, we just encourage you to be healthy. And for those that aren't aware, they did recently purchase a cancer ward at a hospital. And they're like, yeah, we're going to be selling our essential oils alongside, like for cancer patients, alongside other medical professionals. It's like, when we talk about misleading marketing tactics, that's manipulative and misleading in the sense that you can have individuals that are selling your product say, this cures cancer. The upper levels say, no, it doesn't cure cancer. It helps fight cancer. By the way, we're now going to purchase a cancer ward and sell our products alongside people who are getting better from cancer because they're receiving actual medical treatment.
Right.
And now the sellers of Doterra can say that our oils are being used
to help
fight
cancer.
Yeah.
In cancer wards and hospitals. Can't you see? We're totally legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
We're a medicine now, but we can't call ourselves medicine because the FDA will send us naughty letters.
They're
Again.
alternative medicine, and the reason they're alternative medicine is because if it actually worked, it would be called, what's the word? Medicine.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, ultimately what it comes down to, I think, is from everything that we talked about, MLMs are bad because they rely on deception and misleading claims.
Do they rely on deception? We've discussed that the structure encourages deception and being misleading, but does it rely on deception?
I think that at their core, deception is a major part of how MLMs continue to work.
That it's a core part because you need to continue recruiting people if a large portion of the amount of money that's made is off of the business owners and not off of actually selling the product. Mm-hmm. When a large portion, arguably not even a majority, but when a large portion is from people who think they're going to be selling the products, failing to sell the product, if that's your primary income source, that obviously the product is not worth selling and the business is not a legitimate business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it would be very similar to if a business just started hiring people that they know, I just hired 1,000 people to work at this McDonald's, when clearly there's only enough shifts for 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
But oops, I guess y'all can just fight it out for who gets hours on the schedule.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like we've been fairly consistently saying that the reason it's bad is not necessarily because of the products it sells.
It might be, but it's not required.
It could be, but so could a business that sells bad products or sells bad food or has bad quality. So it's not necessarily about the products. If you didn't have a product, you can still make a group with a similar scheme as long as you're actually using the money for something to contribute to the group. But the problems are the fact that it encourages and in some ways relies on manipulative mathematics or manipulative sales tactics, that a large portion of the money made is made from the people who are also trying to sell the products or recruit. And so you're benefiting mostly from recruiting, which again encourages the predatory tactics, which is, I think, part number 3 is it encourages predatory tactics in recruiting people. And it separates the burden of responsibility from people who actually own the company. That for the people who started the company and are benefiting the most, they can become almost completely detached from any claims and any failures of people below them.
The people making the most money have the least risk.
Yeah. Oh, you failed to, your business didn't take off. Well, that's a moral failing on your part. That has nothing to do with the people at the top.
And I think the another point that we seem to be in agreement on is that not only is it predatory, but the types of people that it tries to sell to are saying, hey, you can own your own small business here, buy into this. And so it's not only predatory tactics, but it's predatory tactics specifically on ignorant people while using manipulative statistics.
There's often, going back just to the groups of people that are targeted, it's people that are very susceptible, right? Oh, you're a mom, you have small kids,
and you need money.
Don't you want to stay at home with your kids all day instead of going to work? How dare you trust a daycare to take care of your kids? You're a bad mom if you don't stay at home with your kids.
But you're also bad if you don't make money.
Yeah.
Here's
fail,
a way that you can
your
do
problem.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll make the money back immediately. Just put it on a credit card. You'll pay it off by the next statement. You'll be fine.
And
it's a total guarantee. No, I won't lend you any money because I don't have any money.
And that can happen in other businesses. So that's not the inherent problem. The inherent problem is the fact.
But we would also call out other businesses for making those same.
We would. But
claims.
I'm saying that's not why MLMs are called out. The reason that MLMs are called out specifically as opposed to just the predatory tactics of other businesses is because the structure of MLMs encourages that sort of business dealings.
Yep. Yeah, it's the encouragement of predatory techniques, even if the very top of the rung is like, we told the truth to the top three rungs. And they
aren't as they aren't being held responsible because of the separation between the layers.
It's low risk. It's high risk for the people making the least amount of money, low risk for the people making the most amount of money, and a complete separation of responsibility between them. So the other thing about MLMs is if they continue on the structure to continue to grow and continue to make more money and more money, it is relying on the people at the very bottom to lose money. You can't have an MLM that continues to grow infinitely.
If you had a product that actually was worth selling on its own, you could make that be successful as a business. But if the reason you are successful as a business is not because of the sale of the product, but because of people buying in, thinking that they can sell the product, that is an indicator that this is an MLM scheme and a flimsily covered pyramid scheme rather than an actual business.
Yeah, if someone comes to you and says they will pay you so many dollars per hour to go door to door to sell something, that's a job. If someone comes to you and says, pay me $500 to get enough products for you to sell and make $600, you should do that. That is a pyramid scheme or an MLM.
And that is also different from paying by commission. Right. That if you say, hey, I have a product that I want to sell and I want you to help me sell it, you will get 50% of the profits when you sell that.
Yeah.
Some of those profits are going to go to me, but you're not requiring the buy-in. So a commission.
Well, you're also not. You're not requiring that person to make the sale of that particular item. It's not sitting somewhere in their garage waiting to be sold. It's sitting at your centralized business.
And they don't have to pay you first.
Right.
That they aren't giving you any money. They only give you you as the owner only get money on the success of people under you, as opposed to MLMs who gain money off of the success and failure of people below you.
Right.
So I think that seems to be probably the critical part, is that MLMs, people higher up, gain on both success and failure, as opposed to things like franchises that benefit from success.
Yeah. And like in
or
the case
commissions, which benefit from success.
And in the case of a failure of a legitimate business, the higher ups would end up ending the franchise if they start to lose money, because there is a risk to the higher ups. And that's something you can always ask yourself. Is there a risk to the person above me or the person above them or the person above them if I don't do a good job? And if the answer is no, then you're probably in a multi-level marketing scheme.
And even with franchisees, like the individual people that are working your cash registers, the only detriment to them of their business going out is that they lose their job.
Yeah, they stop their income. They don't lose money.
Yeah, they don't actively lose any money. They just lose income, which, yes, is bad, but you can always find another job.
Right.
So
you're not in debt for it.
Yeah. So it sounds like, in short, if you if it sounds like you think that, or if you're listening to this and you believe that you might be in an MLM, think to yourself, am I engaging in the negatives that these folks are talking about? If you're not engaging in the predatory tactics, and you're not taking advantage of people below you, and you're not making money, that means that you are the person that's being taken advantage of, and you should get out while you're behind.
Yep. There is no getting ahead if you are at that bottom run.
And if you, on the contrary, are taking advantage of people, and you are using the predatory tactics, and you are using misleading tactics, and you're just benefiting off of people as opposed to the sale of the product, you're an asshole.
Yep.
And if you're somehow just doing really well selling the product, there are many more legitimate businesses that would be more than happy to have you sell their products.
Right.
And use the money that you have, start a business, and hire some employees so that other people can also benefit from how well you're doing. They will help you in being even more successful. I think that about sums up the position that we ended up at.
Yeah.
And right around the 1 hour mark. Perfect. Anything else, guys?
No.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Hi everyone. Thanks so much for listening to this discussion. Your interest really means a lot to us. If you want to help support this podcast and our goal of sparking discussions and bringing people together, check out how to contribute in the description. Happy deeping!
The content of this podcast does not reflect the views and opinions held by anyone involved. We will frequently be playing the devil's advocate strictly for the purpose of exploration of ideas and not as an endorsement of any subsequent action. We condemn all acts of violence other than those of self-defense against physical harm.